in the chat, wherever you're at, give a round of applause to our athletic director, Mr. Michael Alford. How you doing? How you doing?
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, doing good. Just happy to be here, guy. Happy.
Hey, I'm a firm believer. Give the ball to the fullback.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
100%. Use them in the flats, blocking. But some of the best athletes in football, corners and fullbacks, because they're so versatile.
It's not a lot of brain in it. It's just right. It's right there. You don't have. I don't want the deep pass.
That's right.
In New Orleans, one of the when I knew I wasn't gonna make this, the other fullback went down. They made me run a wheel route, and you got to keep going over and over again. And I was like, Coach, I'm not designed to keep running 30 yards down the field in a full sprint over and over again. This was Coach Payton when he was young, and I was like, Coach, you're gonna have to point to the person, let me hit him. I do that very well, or let me score. That's what I do. So, how's your morning going?
Going great. Had a couple meetings this morning. Got practice going outside my window right here, so I keep an eye on what's going on. Met with some volleyball players this morning already. Had some athletes up in my office. Everything's going great. You know, I'm so blessed. And you remember when you were playing and you were a part of this culture, but just to have 500 student athletes and just being around them on a daily basis and just giving them the resources to try to make a difference. Academically, socially, athletically, whatever their endeavors are, just being a part of their lives and trying to have an influence and encouraging them just to be better and to take risks. And that is just a joy to be around these young men and women every day.
Yes, sir. Is this the cookie day?
Yesterday. I brought them in because we had Labor Day. So it's funny the student athletes know to come up here, especially early in the week, because they know they're really fresh.
Yeah. She like when you brought those to the spring game tailgate, like I have diabetes, but it was great. It was the greatest A1C raise day of my life. Like she made those because them things are good, man. Your wife can
she can make some cookies. She did. She made some for the band the other day. She made 823 for the band one night. And she had made them for football the other day after practice going into the game. So she does a marvelous job. We had about 40 student athletes to the house last night, our leadership academy, and just really try to pour into them. And Sean Pittman had Sean and Nada Usina, who both so successful in their careers, and just come and just lay some knowledge on about how to get ahead and their experience here at FSU. And then how do they take that and what did they learn and how do they apply that to their successful business careers now? And that's one thing we try to do is just try to connect our student athletes with not only part of the game and give them the resources, the winning edge resources to be successful, but what else can we influence them with? And it just takes one person to connect. And then you have that mentor for life. We really try to provide them with leadership qualities moving forward, and that's what makes this place so special.
Wow. So I wasn't going that line of questioning, but since you did that, I have to ask more because that's something that is very important to me. Being a former student athlete and having a bunch of young men and women that I get a chance to influence on the day-to-day, what are some of the things that like that? Because I was a part of SAC, Student Athletic Advisory Council, and I got a chance to meet a lot of boosters. And just early on, I was like, if this guy has enough money to be able to boost, he got enough money to hire me. So let me get to know this person. But what are some other interesting things that athletics in the university do for student athletes? Because 99% of student athletes will go pro in something other than their sport. What are some other things? That Leadership Academy sounded very interesting, but what are some other things that people just don't know that you guys do for student athletes?
Well, yeah, the Leadership Academy is something I started when I got here. All freshmen go through it, and we bring in people, CEOs of businesses to help influence. We have the tribe come in. It's very important to me that as a student athlete here, you understand the tribal customs and you understand the unique partnership we have with the tribe. So they come in and educate on the tribal customs and, how it means something different to be a Seminole. It's just different. And we have a responsibility to carry to a higher standard of carrying that name across our chest. And then we have something called emerging leaders. And that's voted on. So that's typically your sophomore, juniors That's voted on by team captains, coaches, strength staff, and we bring in people to prepare them to be a captain one day, and let's say a team. So I'm going to bring in the John Gordons, the Bob Bodines, the Kevin DeShazos. I'm going to spend money of investment really in preparing these young men and women to be that captain. And then we have what's called the director's table. And that's kind of the captains of all of our sports. And we bring in CEOs that realize life exchanges of, look, I've got a freshman who's just not buying into the culture. They've been here 3 months. What are some tricks? And it's no different than the CEO of a company going, I understand that, I have the same issue and here's what you should do. And we bring in and really invest in just great conversations, great questions last night from our student athletes of how do I get buy into the culture with the younger players that just got here and just have those impacts. But as you said, Biggie, then you get to make those connections with people who go on to influence. And so we do a lot. I'm bringing in from my connections in the NFL, we're bringing in some NFL and some meta people to talk about social influence and going to train the same group that trains all the NFL players on the responsibilities of social network and how to grow your brand the right way. They're coming in from New York because of our relationship, because of my years in the league, to talk to our student athletes about growing their brand. So we just try to provide them all the resources outside of their sport to grow and to try to get them when they graduate with that top 20 public institution degree and a championship ring on the other hand, that they're going to then go and use these life experiences to go be successful. So it's not just coming here to play a sport. We're going to invest in you to have success and have the tools for when you graduate to go be successful, much like yourself.
And that's awesome. I may have to hit you. Those are the things I love to do. Like, that's the stories that, again, I tell people I could talk to you all day on the grease board about football
Right.
and all those other different things. But what helped me at Florida State was meeting. We had Dave Hart as my athletic director most of the time.
Dave's coming in for the Miami game. He and Pam are going to sit with me at the Miami game, and I'm so thrilled.
Awesome.
He's been a dear friend and an influence.
I gotta see Dave. I haven't seen him in years. But even when I had meeting President Sandy, when I was there, and then we had we had TK Weatherall, which was awesome. Just meeting guys like that and being able to learn how to talk. Guys who came from neighborhoods like me didn't get an opportunity. Not very many people came. Well, actually, Bobby, that was what was awesome. Bobby came into your hood. It was shut the whole hood down. And it was a great thing, but you don't get those opportunities very often to be able to meet people that would change your life. And playing football, I tell them why I love it. Might have cut my life a little short because I ran into people hard, but what my life could have been without football, probably wouldn't have never met some of the people. I got a chance to see the world. And that's the story that I always tell people I want to tell, because that's what people don't know. They think it's just you go around, you run around in front of what's the official capacity of doak now? Because we're going to talk about that in a second.
Just under 68,000.
All right, so they think you're running around at 68,000 and they're cheering for you. But I tell them it's more to that. Seeing my guys like Brian McFadden and what he's been able to do, and some of the other guys have been able to do, is what really really enriches my experience as I get older. And those are the things that it's about. Is can you take those 4 years and flip them into your next 40? And say I scored a touchdown against Miami 20 years ago, Labor Day. And I told Makai that because he went to my high school, Florida High. So 20 years ago, a Florida High boy scored a touchdown in an important game, and I've been eating off of that since. So I ain't done much else besides be a decent dad since then. The renovations, it looked like much ado about nothing from the fan base. I like the business of sports, so I kind of understood where things were going. And I encourage people, if you don't want more renovations like that, which is nothing wrong with them, it's beautiful, there's this thing you can buy. It's called season tickets. That if we sell those out, we're good. But what were some of the reasons why we needed to renovate and innovate the stadium? And I saw this. It did not affect the noise. No. At all. But what were the reasons why we went down that path, and what are some of your initial impressions upon what the stadium looks like and even how it worked out for the first game?
Yeah, and that's a great question. You know, when I first got here and looking at the business aspect of it, let's go there. First, you know, when you run the comparables, we were $9 million behind the average Big Ten team and 13 million behind the average SEC team in revenue per stadium. The reason being they had invested. Those universities had invested in their stadium, invested in their opportunities and different experiences for the fan bases that they had. And that was very important. We had in 20 years. And, you know, then you look at the cost of running the stadium and the deferred maintenance you were spending on a 77-year-old stadium now of keeping it up intact. And every year we would have to go back and secure parts of the stadium um, with our engineers to make sure that it was suitable for fans to come in there and sit on it, and it would be safe. And so you run the cost analysis, and it was just time uh, on what we were doing to that stadium, and it just needed to be reinforced. And when we looked at it and ran the numbers, it just made more sense to go ahead and just build new on it instead of running it so reinforced. So we started that process, and I understood that to keep up with our peers across the country, we were going to have to renovate and do some things different, basically modernize the stadium. I'm very pleased with where we ended. We first did a fan base study and the fans came back at record number of responses, and CSL, who leads those studies across for every NFL team and everything sports franchise across the country, did ours, and they were amazed at the number of responses we got. We were one of the highest they've ever had, and we got the amenities of what the fans wanted. We put in their pricing models and said, you know, here's some comparisons. What would you be willing to pay? And then we went and hired Populous and orchestrated, took the fan data that they had provided us, and said, here's the amenities that our fan base wants, and sold out very quickly, did it the right way, went person by person and said, here's your opportunity moving into a new experience of what it would look like. We were the cheapest of the top 20 attended universities, which were one of them, fan bases. We were number 20 across the board. Whether you set the end zone, set the 50, we were number 20. We didn't want to go to number one. We didn't ask to go. We just moved up a couple of notches. We're still bottom third of that when it comes to cost with our where our season ticket and annual giving is. But it was able to increase our revenue about $9 million, which allows us to compete in the modern age of collegiate athletics. Couldn't be more happier with the amenities. It gave our fan bases way different choices. We now have about 16 price points, 16 different experiences. Where before we had a bleacher seat, a club seat, and a suite, we now have about 16. Our fan base really loved the product, talking to them. They're really pleased. We still got some operational things that make us even better for this game that you see opening a new facility, but I could be more pleased with, one, the response of our fan base, but two, just the operations side of it and opening up a brand new doak. And we have an iconic entrance now. One thing with doak, we never had that iconic entrance. And now we have Gate C with the entrance with the big spear, a photo opportunity that you know you're walking into something that be very proud of. So I couldn't be more pleased with the turnout and how everything happened there for the game, because I thought our fan base responded.
Nice. I'm here with Michael Alford, athletic director of the Florida State University, greatest university on earth. Asking questions. If you guys have some good questions in the comments, we got one that I am going to get to in a second. You talked about the $9 million deficit and being able to make that up. That's something that I've noticed is pretty consistent with you. Going back to when, and I won't put you on the hook or ask any questions about this, even though I am glad that I feel like we got a really, really good deal out of it. And moving forward, we can negotiate contracts a lot more fairly based upon our value. But when we were talking about potentially leaving the ACC, you did the board of directors meeting. And one of the things that you came out and said before the ACC sued us, well, we were just talking. We cannot have a $30 million deficit to the University of Florida. Then you talked about a $9 million deficit. Are we continuing to make steps to where we can make up those deficits that we have to our competitors?
Without a doubt. And that was part of the discussions we were having. We just want the opportunity to earn more. And we have that opportunity now with the success initiatives that we negotiate with the league, that if you win ball games and you go to the CFP, you go and it pays men's and women's basketball, which is what the TV contract is, and women's basketball, which is what the TV contract values with the league. It allows us to go and earn more money out of that pie. Then with the settlement with the league, they took 60% of the media dollars and put it in a bucket, and whoever draws the media value of the league can go earn it. So if you play big games, you get good ratings with the Nielsen ratings, you're able to go get a bigger piece of the pie. So if we take care of what we do, and it gives us the opportunity to cut into that deficit amongst our peers with the Big Ten and the TV and the SEC TV contracts. So now that allows us to go give resources to our student athletes and our coaches to compete at an elite level. That's all we can ask, is give us the opportunity to earn that media contract and that success initiatives, and let us go earn that differential revenue for us to reinvest it into our program. And that was the discussion. And I'm glad where it ended up, and it does provide us that opportunity to go shorten that gap a little bit with success.
Taking on two aggressive construction events, obviously with the renovations of doak, shifting over to the football only facility. Where are we at with the football only facility? When will it be kind of official for them to be able to use all the things? And what are some of the key amenities that make that different? And why was it necessary to have that?
Yeah, when you look across our peers, this is going to blow your mind, Biggie. When you look at 2012 to 2022 in the ACC, because you know how analytical I am, we invested percentage-wise dead last in the sport of football in that 10-year span. Our growth rate was dead last in investment. Everybody was passing us and investing more than us. We had to change that. There's a correlation behind success and investment in anything in life. So we had to invest. We had to catch up. We also had the least amount of square footage dedicated space to football of anyone in the conference.
Wow.
The ACC, not our peers
right.
across the country. The ACC, that had to be changed. So now with this facility, it's going to be the finest in the country. It's an investment into the future of FSU and FSU football for sure. And it is going to have the best amenities. We went toward more NFL facilities to look at what technology is in there that is going to set us apart. We would see something that someone had done, and then we said, well, we're going to do it bigger, and we're going to have more space. One thing that's in there that I can't wait to walk you through, that is totally going to separate us. Everybody I've taken through it, to BMAC and EJ through it the other day, and they were blown away. You're going to have, coming out of your position room, your running back position room is around the 55-yard, which is the length of a football field, 30 yards deep, walkthrough space. But on that space is wall-to-wall video virtual reality. So we're playing Alabama. You do your walkthrough. You come out. You're looking at their defense in motion and making your checks according to what they're in place. And it's right in front of you, like you're on a real field. So you could have the whole offense out there, whole defense. Alabama goes in motion. You're running. You're making your adjustments. Quarterbacks can go look at the screen of the defenses and make their pre-snap reads.
Wow.
It is something that's totally different. Nobody has it. They will get it when they see what we have installed.
I don't want nobody. Can we patent that?
Yeah.
I don't want nobody getting no advantage.
Some people have done it at a smaller scale, but not like this.
Okay.
It's something that's really impressive. And just the amenities of the pools. We don't even have technology of pools here with underwater cameras and treadmills and rehab pools. We don't have it, which when I first got here just blew me away. So just the technology and the scientific, or how far science has come in looking at rehab of our student athletes, we're able to install that now. So it's just going to have the modern amenities. It's going to set us apart. It's going to tell our history better than any place ever about the history of Florida State football. And what we're also really proud of, when you understand football's a small army, and you move them out, it allows, of the Moore Center, it allows us to expand space for our other programs here. It allows, I don't have a swim team now working out at 5:30 a.m. because that's the only time that they can schedule to get into the weight room. It just allows more flexibility, which allows our student athletes also to have better class schedules moving forward, because they can schedule them better. So it is going to have an impact across our entire department and all of our student athletes, this facility. But it's going to be something that all Seminoles should be proud of, because it is going to be a difference maker for us. Already is in our recruiting efforts.
And that sounds great. I had no idea.
Can't wait to walk you through it. It's going to blow your mind.
Don't scare me with a good time.
But it will be, we're going to move in after the Stanford game.
Okay.
It will be ready before that. But what we don't want to do is disrupt our practice schedules.
Understood.
Moving in a week of a game. So we have a bye week after Stanford. So we're going to open it up to our student athletes then. Now we may have some donor events and show it off, but it also gives us the ability to open it up kind of to the public first before our student athletes move into it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. This sounds awesome. Getting into the season and some of the other different things. What does a win against Alabama do? How does that help your job?
Winning always helps. There's no doubt about it. But it allows us to go out and once again share our vision of where this program's going, where this department going, where the university's going with President McCullough's leadership. It puts us on a national stage. You look at the brand value of Florida State, and a win like that is still being talked about nationally across all media outlets. So, it just allows us to tell our story, get people to believe in where we're heading. We know where we're heading, but it validates it a little bit. It validates the hard work that Coach Norvell and his staffs put in. I'm out on practice. You know me. I have a relationship with the players, and through this whole process, I've been looking at our team going, we're pretty good. And then I'd hear, well, you're going to get crushed by Bama. And I'm like, unless my eyes are lying to me, I know a little ball. And we look pretty good. How good are they, if that's how people are telling me? So, it validated what our belief in our student athletes, the system. Tony White's 3-3-5, I love. You saw that, how aggressive it allows our students to be. You saw it with Gus. It just validated the hard work they've put in. And I can't tip my hat to how the coaching staff got them prepared for that game. But it does make things exciting. Got to win the next one. This sport, there's always somebody waiting for you, and they're on scholarship too. So you got to go out and compete. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to, the bounce back at noon, which is it's almost sold out this Saturday. We only got about 1,500 tickets left coming up, but it allows us to get prepared for the next opponent.
Wow, just that makes sense. Obviously, like I said, obviously winning helps. Speaking of that, so a lot of different things happen. You had to keep this guy from going there, and then he rewards you with probably one of the most controversial seasons that we've had since I've been alive. That's the worst season we've had. But talk about your relationship with Coach Norvell.
Yeah.
And what was it like getting the new contract signed? And then what was it like during the season? Do you encourage a guy like that? Do you tell him, hey, you know what the standard is and you need to live up to the standard? What are those things like? Because there's a lot of the fan base gave up. Now, I always joke with my job is my job. I know how to watch football. I'm loyal to the logo, but I really like Coach Norvell. Coach Norvell I joke with him, he treats my sons like they scored 10 touchdowns, or they scored in both those end zones. It's great, man, but ball is ball. So what is that kind of conversation kind of like as a boss? Because I'm curious to know that.
Well, we have, our relationship, and we speak daily. And I have such admiration for him because, and I've said it before, I have belief in his system because I see it behind closed doors. I see the care he has for the young men in this program. I see the relationships he has with the young men in this program. Sometimes it's love, sometimes it's very tough love.
Mhm.
And but I see the kids respond. I see how he's turning young men into men within this program. A lot of people don't get to see the behind the curtain of the relationship and the structure that is within this program. He and I have a great partnership. We both have jobs to do. I respect his job more than anything. He respects my job more than anything. And the open conversations and relationships we have is very valued. It's not like that everywhere. And the mutual respect we have for each other is not like that everywhere. So, it's a daily conversation that we have. During last year. It was conversations. He had my support, and I knew what he was going through. I knew what the program was going through, and I knew that we were going to get it fixed. And how do we get it fixed? And we worked on that and had those discussions moving forward. So, it's a great partnership with the program to move it forward. My job is to provide him resources to make sure that he's getting the proper resources to compete. And then his job is to go out and do the football. I don't get into football. I don't. He'll be the first to tell you. I don't hire assistant coaches. I deal with the CEO, which is him, of that program, and that's all of my programs. Coaches will come to me about it. I don't deal with assistant coaches. I deal with you. And there is a standard of how we're going to do things here at Florida State, and the response has just been magnificent. But that was never in doubt. I knew the plan, I knew the structure that he was doing, and so I knew we're going to have success. It was just a bump in the road. It was a challenging time, but you see the bounce back from it. You see the drive of an individual, and that's something that's really admirable in my books.
Yeah, he definitely does a great job. And again, I got a chance to see him on the sideline and said, "Hey, you guys earned this," and I appreciate you guys for that. And again, he's when you go through hell, you should experience heaven. Once you've
Yeah,
been able to get through it. So,
that's a
um,
good way to put it.
one of the things that a lot of people, early on in his tenure, I told people I'm only analyzing the football. I don't get paid to like or dislike anybody. But I told him I only go based upon what people talk. So I don't listen to other shows. So my conversations with you, it's like, why would I go listen to somebody? I can just ask Mr. Alford. But I always tell when he was interviewing me, I got this from him. The standard is the standard, and the standard is over everything. And I like it. Even every morning I wake up, I have an alarm with Mike yelling at me, "What is your standard?" Like from one of the videos. So great stuff. You've also got an opportunity to hire people. That's one of your jobs, is to hire and fire. Now, is it just because he's a handsome guy and he's from Florida High that you hired Link, or was it just because it seems to be working? So just so
Yeah.
you know, if you ever guys are, I got to work from Jacksonville. I don't want to move back home to Tallahassee, but I went to Florida High. I'm medium handsome, and I kind of know a little bit what I'm doing. So I'm up there for that. But what was the hires, and how do you feel about your hires with baseball? And you got exciting alumni as well on the basketball side. So what went into those hires real quick, and what are you excited about the baseball and basketball teams moving forward?
Well, one thing I had to do is making hires throughout my career. Son of a football coach, college athlete. My wife was a college athlete. All three of my daughters are college athletes. I understand the culture it needs to be. And we go away for about 2 weeks a year, me and a couple of staff members, and we look at every program. If I had to make a hire right now in softball, you'd look at who am I going to hire and who might they bring with them, and then we monitor their recruiting throughout the process. Every sport. So we are prepared no matter what happens within our sports. But getting Link was, it was a deep conversation. One thing I do too is I'm very respectful. I would not talk to Link until about 48 hours when his season was over. So he made it to Omaha. I still hadn't talked to him. I was doing my search. I was talking to people, but I also told him, look, there's somebody on my list I got to talk to, but out of respect for the job he's doing at the time at Notre Dame, I'm not going to bother that. He's got a job to do. He's got to prepare those young men and women, those young men for the postseason. I'm not interrupting that out of respect. So I waited until he walked off that field in Omaha. Then he's got to deal with seniors, right? He's got to talk to his seniors. It's emotional. So I waited until about 48 hours after the game for our first conversation. And then I still called the AD, Jack Swarbrick, at the time, and said, Jack, I won't, not asking permission, but I'm going to call Link and let him know. But he's come in and we're going to win a national championship there.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy is one of the best baseball coaches I've ever been around. I played for Coach Polk at Mississippi State, who is a dear friend to this day, and I think is the greatest of all time. Link is up there. His knowledge of baseball and how he prepares his team is second to none. Luke Laux, same way. Going through that process, I was going to make sure I hired someone who I thought would take the basketball program to a different level. The game has changed. So analytical, it's going more of an NBA style across the board. So I was looking at someone who could bring that knowledge to our program. And Luke would not only be an alum, but he is so prepared for that, talking to people at the Warriors, talking to people at the Kings. And, he was going to be an NBA head coach real soon. And just getting him in here, and he loves it. His wife was from here. But also when you make a coaching hire, whether it's Coach Penske at our soccer program or Brooke Wyckoff taking over women's, let's take Luke, for example. What's so important to me, we have such a great relationship amongst our head coaches. I put it up there with anyone in the country. Our head coaches work together. They talk to each other. They attend each other's practices. They support one another. I can't bring in a coach of a program that disrupts that culture.
Mm.
You've got to fit us. And we do our research heavily on that. There were coaches who were more established than Luke Laux, who wanted this job bad. But I thought they might come in and disrupt the culture we have amongst our other head coaches. And Luke was as qualified as anyone. And I thought you take his basketball knowledge with his opportunity to come in and mesh with our other coaches and the culture we have here that's so special. I mean, Luke's bringing basketball players to the soccer games. I mean, he's at softball. You see coaches softball. You see Penske at football game. I mean, the culture we have and support for all of our programs amongst it is special. It's not like that everywhere. Trust me, it's not like it everywhere. And these coaches aren't in silos in their programs. They communicate, they talk to each other, and that was so important, making coaching hire, that they come in and fit our culture that we cherish so much.
I'm with Michael Alford, athletic director at the Florida State University, the greatest university in the universe, not the world, the universe. I don't know what they got in Mars, but it ain't better than Florida State. I got two more questions. One of them, I normally don't do this because, just because I love talking business, and you're just I just want to talk to you more. I love the business of sport. It really motivates me. But I tell people I don't take comments that aren't on YouTube, but I got a Facebook comment. So because YouTube pays me. So but it said, James, are there any athletic departments that are truly self-sufficient in the NIL era, or does everyone need outside donations and support no matter what, just to keep the lights on at this point? With college football being in an arms race and a money race, and now with the new legislation allowing for NIL collectives to be able to work with boosters and athletic departments, how is Florida State different, and where do we stand? And if we need to make that next step, what are some things that the fan base or former alums can do to continue to help Florida State not only be the best on the field, but be the best off the field?
Yeah, want to join the booster organization. When we got here, we were down to about 9,000 members, which ranked us about 8th in the ACC.
Jeez.
When I first got here. And now, I was CEO there and we grew it. And now Stephen Ponder's there and doing a great job of growing it again. But just the support, because we are a self-sufficient athletic department. But now with the changing regulations, we're going to compete, and we have to compete. I'm in favor of the House settlement, 100% in favor of the Lloyd, favor of everything that we're doing. but we got to compete. So appreciative of the BOG and Chairman Collins and President McCullough and myself. I went and presented to the Board of Governors many times about changing the Florida law where the university can assist us now. And because we have a large budget, and football was always going to be taken care of, because you have to, right? My fault, my issue was I've got to take care of all of our other sports. And we fund them to compete for championships. My championship soccer program, softball, volleyball won the ACC, Lincoln baseball. The resources providing them was, in my mind, what was going to be diminished and not able to compete. And we had to go get that passed so we could continue to compete across all levels of our sport programs, because we compete championships and everything. So that was what was so important. So joining the boosters at any level, $70 a year makes a difference. We're trying to get up to 20,000 members, and we're at about 16, 17 right now. And we've grown that from 9. Of just getting out and sharing our vision, because it pours back into our student athletes. It allows us to provide these winning edge resources to compete at an elite level. So that is the support you can get, because we are going to compete at the highest level possible, because we are Florida State, and we're not going to shy away from anyone or shy away from anything. And we're going to provide those resources to be aggressive and take risks to be aggressive and getting championships here across all of our sports. President, I joke all the time. I want to win a national championship in that sport. That's our goal. That is our goal. And to do that, we need the resources.
I got to actually meet President McCullough, because I rocks with him. He reminds me of a combination between Sandy and TK, because most presidents ain't getting, no disrespect to Thrasher. I loved President Thrasher as well. But my man was in the crowd. I saw the pictures of him hanging out. I was like, okay, my president gets athletes.
Yeah, he's a great partner. We talk about alignment a lot, and it's a buzzword, but it truly is. The alignment between the board of trustees, the president, down to myself, we have the same vision, and we talk about it. We talk about what's needed to have success, and belief in what's needed to have success. And I couldn't ask for anyone better than President McCullough and our current board of trustees, because they do understand the value of the athletic department. They understand the value of athletics, and they understand to be successful on the academic and the athletic side, and have that holistic opportunity for our students on campus and our student athletes to that experience here on this campus. It's very important to all of us. So understand that having a partnership with them is second to none, and I cherish it every day.
And so I know you're busy, man. I appreciate you taking this time out to chop it up with me for a little bit, just to talk about athletics. And I'm gonna try to see if we can get Coach Norvell and others on as well. But I gotta leave you with this, because like every time I see you, who is your tailor? Like right now, I'm going to screenshot this and send this to my tailor and say, I need that jacket. That pattern, that's what I want. So when I saw you at the game on Saturday, that was a good look. Every time I see you, you are dressed to the nines. Like you're looking good. Like is that like how many suits do you own? And like, is it just like, do you wear this? Cause I ain't never seen you. The only time you have the one to fit. Like I think that's your official Florida State athletic director. Not
the garnet jacket. Garnet jacket. You bring out the garnet and gold for big games.
Yeah, that's the uniform right there. But like, I'm just sitting here like, this man is like sharp. Like what goes into that? What goes into picking a suit for Mr. Alford?
It's just something that I firmly believe in, and your appearance needs to always be your best. And it's something my dad taught me when I was little. Set the expectation and impression of yourself, and it's just something I've taken to heart my whole life, is to make sure your appearance, something you can control, right? Control the controllables, and your appearance is one of them. And that's something you have in your control. So I've just always felt like, especially in this role, and I represent Florida State, I represent our 500 student athletes, and to represent them, I need to be on par with what is the standard of Florida State University. So just try to look your best, because I understand behind me is those coaches and those student athletes. And for me to represent them, the honor to represent them and this great university, as you know, I need to have a standard upon myself to always look your best.
Yes, sir. To quote Coach Norvell, even though he did take a step back and he wore black Air Forces, and again, this is why I call him Mike. In the hood culture, black Air Forces mean we coming to kick ass. Sorry about the language, sir. That's why I'm trying not to curse around you. But like, we coming to rob and kick ass when we got black Air Forces on. But he does say this thing, and it's something that I took and I got it from him. How you do anything is how you do everything.
That's right.
I really appreciate you coming on. I am going to take you up on that tour thing. I don't know, just if you tell me a date, I will make my adjustments to it. I really love the fact that, because one of the things that my son's godfather told me at Mandarin, we call it Mandarin University, because he says not all of these kids are going to get the opportunity to play in college. So we want their high school experience to feel like they're in the university. And what it really sounds like is what you're trying to do for Florida State, not just with football, but across the board, is to create a pro experience for the student athletes while they're there. So I think that's awesome. And I think that's it makes, when you look at it like that, everything makes a lot more sense. We are a college that is trying to operate on a pro sports level.
Yes, sir. And, it's just providing opportunities for young men and women. I mean, like I said, there's not a place in the country where you can come get a top 20 public institution degree, top 20 public institution degree, and then leave with championship rings. You have that opportunity here because we do provide those resources. Thanks to our donors, thanks to our boosters, we can provide those resources for those winning edge opportunities for our student athletes. So I can't thank everyone enough.
All right. Money Mike Alford. Appreciate you, sir. And I will see you around doak soon.
You got it, buddy. Go Noles.